Hi, this is Mike, just giving you a quick overview of our MTI committees, just so all members have a good understanding of what each committee does, in case you are interested in joining and leading. So, overall, what do our committees do? Well, we develop and generate policies for all members. We meet with district representatives, or some of the committees do, to discuss and problem solve around district wide issues. Also, advocate for policy changes, whether that's within district policy or MTI policy within a specific scope, and also handle long and short term actions to move your union, your school district, and the Madison community towards a system that helps everyone, student, staff, and community member alike, feel safe and valued in Madison. So we have three different types of committees. So just kind of want to go over. So when we say standing committees, those are our permanent ones that are written in our bylaws, and those are usually the electable ones with certain term lengths. When we refer to a committee as an ad hoc committee, those are temporary committees that have a specific scope. A specific focus on one issue and also a timeline. And those are usually appointed by the president of whichever group they're president of. For teachers unit, it would be me. ESCAs would be Judy. Subs would be Mike Lip. And then we have our joint committees, and then those are committees that we send some representatives, and the district sends representatives to work on things together. So those could be either elected or appointed, depending on the committee. So first, going to go over our standing committees. So Cabinet of Personnel. I'm not going to read who's a member of the Cabinet of Personnel, but just know that this committee looks at the personnel policy. So that's the executive director, that is office staff, and our office staff have their own union, and we on the Cabinet of Personnel work to negotiate agreements and do all the things in terms of negotiations, just like we do with the school district. They also, whenever we need to hire or review the executive director, the Cabinet of Personnel does that. So it meets on an as needed basis. These are the current members of the Cabinet of Personnel. Next, we have the Constitution Committee. This is a committee, even though it's a standing committee, that is appointed by the president, and they look at the articles or the bylaws and make any changes and recommend them to the Faculty Rep Council, and also write any amendments and submit them to the Faculty Rep Council to be done. And this committee also meets as needed. So this is the current Constitution Committee. Next, we have delegates to the South Central Federation of Labor, which you'll often hear referred to as SCUFFLE. SCUFFLE is pretty much all the unions in the South Central and Southwestern Wisconsin area, over 100 of them, and we send delegates to represent MTI's interests and also communicate to our members what's going on with our other union siblings across the region. Sometimes it involves endorsement, sometimes it involves voting in support of another union's actions, and SCUFFLE meets monthly. So the current delegates to SCUFFLE, I would also like to include Shelley Mahalik, one of our directors of employee services, also is a delegate to SCUFFLE, but these are the current delegates. Diversity and Equity Committee. Now, this is a new committee that it's been ad hoc for a couple years, but we just, in the latest bylaws, approved it to be a standing committee in Faculty Rep. And these are 9 members. They're voted by general membership, and the president can appoint additional ones. The committee meets regularly to look at your union's internal work on equity and diversity, and also push and make sure that we are holding the district accountable for district level equity and diversity programs. We also do supports for the position of the faculty reps for equity and diversity, or the FREDs. And this committee meets monthly. These are the current members of the Equity and Diversity Committee. Now, the Finance Committee. The Finance Committee prepares the annual MTI budget for the joint fiscal group in April, and we'll meet quarterly to engage in additional discussion. So any discussions around dues or certain expenditures, the finance committee will look at and make sure that it's prudent and done in the best interest of your union. These are the current members of the finance committee. Next, we have the Handbook and Bargaining Committee. Now, you've probably seen a lot of updates regarding the Handbook Bargaining Committee, but sometimes there's some confusion on what constitutes the Handbook and Bargaining Committee. Well, it is. We also made some changes in the bylaws, but we try to have the Handbook and Bargaining Committee be one of the more representative committees to make sure that we are getting folks from all parts of your union, so we can make sure that everyone's voices are being heard when we meet with the district regarding handbook and bargaining for base wages and salaries. But obviously, we're also having discussions around benefits, around things like calendar, the concepts of shared leadership, planning time, and other parts of the handbook. As well as oversight. So if there's a handbook violation by an administrator or by a staffer, who gets to oversee it and make sure that we are all abiding by that handbook, as well as ESCA compensation. So these are the current members of the Handbook and Bargaining Committee. If you see, there's subcommittees. So not only are these members members of the overall committee, but they're also members of certain subcommittees having discussions with the district in terms of what to do next. Next, we have another new standing committee. This is the membership committee. They currently appointed, but will transition to elected positions, and they will work on membership recruitment and retention campaigns, as well as providing training for faculty reps and members when it comes to organizing and meeting with potential members, and make sure that we're just building our membership across all units. So these are the current members of the membership committee. Next, we have MTI Cares. Now, pre-COVID, you might have remembered we would have certain fundraisers like the Bowl-a-thon with a silent auction, and it is to promote MTI participation in community outreach efforts to support other nonprofit organizations and community members. So in the past, we've supported groups like Briar Patch. We've done the Bike-a-thon for like the Boys and Girls Club or the United Way. There's a lot of, essentially our philanthropy part of your union. It meets as needed basis. So, excuse me, these are the current members of the MTI Cares Committee. Next, we have our Political Action Committee, or our PAC, MTI Voters. So this is also a pretty well representative group of members who interview and offer recommendations for endorsement of public office candidates, usually Board of Education, but in the past I've also done governor, sometimes county board, sometimes city common council. They also contribute to candidates or other committees on whether that's funds or time and getting members to be part of endorsed candidates campaigns, and meets monthly. During the election cycles, there may be multiple meetings to interview candidates. So these are the current members of the MTI Voters Committee. Next, we have the Nominations and Elections Committee. So this committee is appointed by the president, and they prepare specific and detailed procedures regarding all of our elections. So we actually made quite a few changes to our elections in this most recent bylaws in terms of making sure they were more uniform and also more accessible for all members. So they meet monthly as needed and report to the board of directors in case there are any violations of any procedures. This is the current, I apologize, the slide says voters, but this is actually the Nominations and Elections Committee. Next, we have the Solidarity Fund. committee. One of the things that we do as a union is we have a solidarity fund for members who need additional financial support, and provide zero interest loans, and suggest guidelines for repayment terms and policies governing the fund. And for certain applications that are above a certain amount of money, the committee meets to approve such loans to members. These are the current members of the Solidarity Fund Committee. Next, we're going to go through the ad hoc committee. So these are the ones that were either created by myself or by previous presidents to meet. So the Solidarity Action Committee is one that's been having different iterations over the last year and a half as we've been working through COVID. But the Solidarity Action Committee, it works to plan and implement actions, and also building community coalition and outreach for educational equity and justice, but essentially the action part of our union. So these are the current members of the Solidarity Action Committee. Also, we have the Special Education Subcommittee. Although it's technically an ad hoc, it does have a lot of standing members in terms of the special educators, as well as EAs and those involved in the special education piece to meet and discuss and guide work around issues of special education, as well as stay in communication with district special education leadership. And they meet on a monthly basis. And these are the current members of the Special Education Committee. Now, there are other potential ad hoc committees that I am looking into creating, and have been in communication with members and other leaders to potentially develop, such as a committee comprising of ESL and DLI educators to meet the needs of that group of educators and the students they serve, very similar to our Special Education Committee. Virtual Learning Committee. Virtual learning isn't going away. And as we adapt and learn more about how virtual learning works in our district and our environment, we want to make sure that those workers' rights are protected. Looking also in a curriculum and instruction committee, as we are seeing a massive overhaul of various curricula, and making sure that our voice is heard when the district or when the powers that be want to move on changing curriculum in that way. Also, a student services committee. We have a lot of classroom teachers, and that's not a bad thing in terms of union leadership. But we want to really enhance the voices of our nurses, our social workers, our counselors, our psychologists, and those who work with students, maybe not in a traditional classroom sort of way, but are still meeting the needs of students and staff in buildings. If you have any other ideas on committees that we should be developing, and you feel like in order to meet a need in your union, please reach out to me or someone else in MTI leadership, and we'd be more than happy to help develop that and make sure anything that can be done that can enhance member voice. So the next ones are joint committees. Joint committees, again, are ones that we send members, and the district sends delegates to work around specific problems to solve and ongoing topics. The president does appoint them, and yeah, so we do have a few joint committees. So regarding PAC or professional advancement credits, reclassifications, sabbatical leave, and also safety and the behavior education plan. Those are ones that we meet with district representatives to problem solve around specific issues. Now I'm going to go through frequently asked questions regarding committee membership. So, can I attend a meeting if I'm not elected or appointed? Yes. All members can attend any committee meeting. The only stipulation is that if you can't vote on a particular topic when we get to the voting piece. Only those who are elected or specifically appointed to the committee are the ones who can ultimately make the decision. But you are more than welcome to attend, make your voice known, really bring up your perspective, and really shine in that way. Now, on occasion, it's very rare, but on occasion, there are closed sessions where only the elected members participate in a committee meeting, but that is truly a rarity. Can only faculty representatives or FREDs serve on committees? Absolutely not. Committee positions, as part of our bylaws reform, are available to all members. And when we say all members, we mean if you are an EA and you want to serve on a certain committee, you don't have to just fill in a certain EA slot. You can run just as well as anyone else. Although you should honestly also consider running for faculty rep or as a FRED, because there are definitely open positions in a lot of buildings or a lot of work sites. Yours probably being one of them that could use your voice just on a more consistent basis, aside from just committees. Now, how many committees can I serve on? We also changed the bylaws regarding that because we were noticing not through any intentional chances of hoarding power or gatekeeping, but we noticed a lot of people were on a lot of committees, or the same people were on a lot of committees. So, aside from faculty reps or being on the board of directors or being the treasurer, because the treasurer, by the very nature of their position, needs to be on a lot of different committees. Um, we limit it to 3 committees that someone can serve on. We don't also want anyone to burn out. And once you join a lot of committees, that's a lot of meetings, and those things tend to add up, and we do not want people to lose that work-life balance. This is a volunteer organization, and we want to make sure that everyone is not only able to contribute, but also contribute in a healthy way for their own emotional and mental well-being. So the goal is to transition positions. So we are meeting this rule by the beginning of the 2022-23 school year. When are elections occurring? Well, you're getting this video now, and we are discussing it because nominations are going to be coming up at the January 18th Faculty Rep Council, but the elections themselves will occur in beginning the third week of February. Now, in years past, we might have done paper ballots, but we're working towards doing an all-member electronic ballot that you can use, so we can make the process more democratic. Now, in the chance that someone is elected to a position, but they resign or transfer and their position no longer, this happened to me. I was working at a middle school. I moved to a high school, but I served on a committee where I was a middle school representative. The board of directors will kind of decide on how to do that next, just to make sure that everything's above board and transparent. If you have any more questions or you are interested in joining a particular committee that we just outlined, who can you reach out to? Well, you can talk to the committee chair directly. All of our committees are updated on the madisonteachers.org website. You could also contact the MTI office or email mti@madisonteachers.org, and we can have a longer conversation about it. I want to leave you with this quote from Dr. Martin Luther King that kind of sums up kind of our ethos around all that we've been doing around committees. Everybody can be great because anybody can serve. You don't have to have a college degree to serve. You don't have to make your subject and verb agree to serve. You only need a heart full of grace, a soul generated by love. So, truer words never been spoken. Again, thank you for listening, and hope you are interested in stepping up and leading within your union. And until next time, solidarity.